New running gear for another chicken coop.
This will be a new chicken coop here, hopefully in the next few weeks.
My plan is to get all this crummy paint off of it and I'll put a new deck down and basically build my structure up. Maybe some new tires on it at some point.
So does our other one.
Should have done this outside. Alright. Anyway, we go. So I'm just using some 2.5 inch wood screws to attach the 2x6s to the hay wagon. Got a little visit paid by the neighbors here. Once we get back to business, putting down the plywood. Plywood's just 1/2 inch treated plywood. Now, using treated plywood, we wouldn't be able to get organically certified the way I understand it. For organic certification, I believe you have to, or the chickens cannot come into contact with anything treated due to some concerns with the chemicals in there. I don't know that that makes a difference, or at least we've never experienced that. So what do you think?
I like it. Got the platform down.
Yeah.
Does this one seem like the underneath is in decent shape?
Yeah. Appears to be so.
Our first tenant.
We're gonna go tall enough that I can build it all inside. It's 33 inches tall.
So we're just gonna do, again, like 6'8" or something in the middle, and more like 4'8" on the edges.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. And it is, what I say, 81 inches wide. I have 120 minus 34 available. Yeah, 86. Whew. Tired. Trig time.
Yeah, you could do that trig.
So I'm at 40.5.
She's learning trig.
86 inches. This height is 13.5. So I'm gonna do 72.5 inches.
Yep.
We'll just do 70 inches on the side. So that'll give us 3.5 inches clearance to get in and out of the building. That's been the challenging part. We have a 10-foot door that we have to clear. So if we're doing it all inside, which I would like to. So I'm just gonna plan on the walls being 70 inches. The middle will be another 13.5 on top of that, which gets it to 86 inches. So this will be a little bit shorter and stouter, wider than our existing coop. But should be able to fit more birds in it because it's wider. So
More volume.
more volume. Yep. So getting the walls laid out here, the walls are 2x4 construction. They're built at 24 inches on center. There's not really a need to go to 16 on center for this. It is a chicken coop. It doesn't need to be anything overly built, even though it's already going to be overly built. But that's another story. So the first wall is going together here. I think I got both walls within about a 1/4 inch of square, which you'll see I'm checking square from edge to edge. When I'm doing that, I'll put these little corner gussets in just to keep it reasonably square before I set it up on the coop. The second wall's coming together here, which had to have a break in the middle here.
Quick, before we get started here, I want to walk you through what progress was made last night. Basically, what I've done is I've got one wall framed up, which you can see here. I got another wall in the process here. Once those walls are done, I will set it up on the hay wagon. It's a little bright out here, sorry. And if you can see this, the hay wagon here. Yesterday we put down some 2x6s underneath just to give it a little bit of something to put all of our decking on. And then we'll build essentially a shed on top of here. That will be the chicken coop. So we'll go back to time lapse and you can check this out as we go.
So here we got the second wall done. Roll the hay wagon back in, get the wall set back up on the hay wagon. I've got Ellie helping me a little bit. Once the walls are set up there, we'll kind of eyeball it in place. We'll screw it together with the angles on the end of it until I can get the walls kind of set in place. I'm using 2x3s to connect them on top just temporarily.
So got the walls up. I thought I'd, check plumb because I just kind of eyeballed it in. I don't know if you can see that or not. For an eyeball on a hay wagon, it's within the lines. I'm quite impressed with myself. Time to build some trusses. I hate this part.
So the reason why I say the putting the trusses together is one of my least favorite parts is because it's a lot of repetitive cutting and measuring. Plus you're doing everything on the angle, which is it adds its own level of complexity. Saw Gabe come out and help me sweep a little bit. Now we're just adding some notches into the trusses out out at the edges so that when I go to set these trusses on the framework, it just sits right over top of them. Now I did my first one up and I set it up there and I liked the look of it, but I did not like the amount of overhang that was on it. But in the essence of saving material and time, I went ahead and left it and then just made the adjustment to the rest of my trusses. I'll put this shorter one kind of somewhere in the middle. That way it's not as visible. Me and whoever's watching this video is probably going to be the only people that ever noticed that. So now we're working through the base, which will be the base for the nesting boxes. I'm just using some leftover material from putting the decking down. I'm also using some 2x3s from Lowe's to do all of the framework inside of it here. The problem with it, if you've ever worked with 2x3s, they never seem to be straight. They never seem to be, I guess they're all twisted, I guess to put it best. So you'll see me kind of fight with it and think and think and think and think and think and try to make make a way around it to make it work as intended. You'll see me struggle with this, and hindsight being 2020, I would have just rather used 2x4s, but again, I used the 2x3s that I had on hand. These 2x3s I typically use for just the roosts that go up inside of the coop. So typically there's some math involved with how many birds you intend to put in a coop versus nesting box sizes and requirements along those lines. Our existing coop has, I forget, 12, 14 nesting boxes, and we house between 150 and 200 birds in there. The funny thing is with all those nesting boxes and that many birds, you'd think that they'd all be utilized. However, in reality, which I'll say this here in a minute, but in reality, your birds will lay in 2, maybe 3 boxes total. It's kind of a weird thing that chickens do.
So building the nesting boxes, we've got 3 tier. There's going to be 4 boxes per tier. I'm going to put a slant on the top of the nesting boxes. That way they don't sit and roost on top of them. Underneath here is basically just a storage area for you, so you can put your, what's it called?
Oyster shell.
Oyster shell, thank you. We can store all that in there and have everything ready. But basically you're going to have a big bifold door, so it will open up just like a cabinet, and then we'll have relatively solid wall for the rest of it. It'll have a step. It'll come off of the backstop. It'll come off of here and be about that tall. That way, not only I, but Courtney can hop up here.
Yeah.
To the top shelf.
Because right now I can't even almost reach that top one. I'm short.
I mean, I can reach it, but
Show off. And here's the other side. So they will be able to get to each of them.
yeah, I'm probably gonna put another 1x4 across the front.
Yep. Just to keep the eggs from rolling back out.
Yep. I've got gaps, but that's more because I didn't want to cut extra material.
Are we worried about them not being able to get to the top one?
Yeah.
Or are they good?
They'll be fine. They probably won't use it much. They'll probably use the bottom 2 more
Right.
than anything. But as we found on our existing coop, they pretty much lay in 2 boxes, and that's it.
Right.
200 chickens lay in 2 boxes. Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Birds. Birds are weird.
Yeah. So today's a little bit chillier, so I'm going to be working with the door closed, so my lighting is going to be terrible until I can get some overhead lights in here, which is going to be a little while. But my update for today, I'm going to button up my nesting boxes, get those ready to rock and roll, and then also start getting some of the siding on. Once the siding is all on, or at least somewhat on, I should be able to get the front and back on, get it pretty much done up, with the exception of the middle, because I won't clear my door if I do that. And then if that all goes according to plans, then I'll be able to roll it outside, put my roof together, paint it, and we're ready for chickens. So come along and we'll see how far we get today before we freeze our butts off.
The reason why I got to roll back outside to put the roof on is because I did all the planning and planned for everything to be built inside, and then at the last minute I changed my truss design and went with a little bit taller, a little bit steeper roof. That way we can shed water and shed snow a little bit better. We do get, some snow here in Indiana, depending on the year. This year has been pretty light. Last year we did get a pretty heavy snowfall kind of earlier on in the season. So want to make it as strong as possible and be able to shed water and snow pretty easily. For the sides, I'm using T111 from Lowe's. It's a great material. It's like a plywood material, but it's mainly used for shed siding. I've used this on the other coop, and it's really nice to work with by comparison to, say, some of the treated plywood. So you'll see I've got a couple little 2x3 chunks up above, and the reason for that is I'm using that as kind of a gauge to set where my height is. So I'm just pushing this T111 up against those 2x3s. I've added some notches into the T111, that way my trusses can sit down in between everything. I am also just using 2.5-inch nails with a pneumatic nailer to put everything together here. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. So switching gears, going to the other side, it's pretty much rinse and repeat. So the siding material is pretty heavy. If you have a second set of hands, it's definitely beneficial. It'll keep you from hurting yourself.
So ran out of material for today. We're gonna come back at it once I am able to source some material for it, and we'll get this thing knocked out. So if you like this content, please like and subscribe. We will be getting the walls, ceiling, and some windows in this here in the next few days. We'll be posting a part 2 probably within the next week, so keep an eye out for that. Again, this is Brandon from Ruby Red Farm. Appreciate you watching. See you next time.